Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic, and welcome back to the channel. And today, if you guys, is finally the Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King Extended Edition review. You're gonna be seeing some Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor gameplay in the background. Hope you guys enjoy that. First and foremost, I do want to say that I'm sorry for not posting this in like 2 freaking months. I started the Hobbit trilogy back in the day, and then I did Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, I think before Disney, or I might have posted one when I was in Disney, I don't know, but I finally got to watch Return of the King, because it's essentially it's a 4.5 hour film. Or it's a long-ass film. So it took me a while to do. I had to help my dad with the car. I had other stuff to do, so trust me, I wanted to watch it a lot sooner than I did, and I'm sorry about it. But, we finally are here, and you're finally seeing it. So tell me in the comments down below, before we even begin, what your favorite Middle-earth film is out of all 6. So, going to Return of the King, this has always been my favorite Lord of the Rings film. It's got the most action, the most, intense moments, the most heartfelt moments, and it's just, there's so many great parts in that movie, and, that movie is 200 minutes, but the one I watched is 263, about an hour longer, essentially, and, man, does it effing pay off. Like, as I said before, every scene that's extended either feels, because it's essentially like an hour and 3 or so odd minutes of, extra footage that I haven't seen before. So you're doing that and you're like, oh wow, this is actually really freaking cool. I like all these scenes, but they actually mean something. And they actually contribute to the plot of the film. It's not just there to pad for time. Some of it's more funny, not all of it is going to be, oh my god, this is the funniest thing in the world. Or, oh wow, this really adds to the lore, because there's one or two odd scenes where Frodo and Sam are just kind of talking and they're just kind of doing their own thing, and it works and it's funny, and there are things like that in there. But as far as generally speaking, the movie is effing awesome, especially that extended runtime, man. Everything just feels more complete. It's funny, there was a scene in the Lego The Lord of the Rings video game where you play the Path of the Dead, right? And there's these creepy, green effing hands coming out of the floor. And I'm playing that game, and I'm like, I don't remember that in the movie. And it was in the extended version. I was like, oh, that's effing cool, that's sick. We actually did that in the extended version. So it's cool that, TT Games, they actually they watched them too. That's kind of neat. But as far as negatives, there was one scene where I don't remember who said it, but it was something with ADR, right, where they were saying something, but clearly their mouth was moving, and no words were coming out of their mouth. It might have been Eowyn, or maybe Arwen, one of the Wins. Could have been Gandalf. I don't freaking know. It's one of them. But there was one moment where I noticed that, which I believe is an extended version, scene. There's also, a few moments from what I can remember, because I'm filming this the day after I watched it, but there's a few moments that are just kind of like that, where it's like, oh, the extended version didn't really, put too much into it. One of the humor things didn't land. It's not a big deal. But, my biggest thing was that ADR scene. It did kind of stand out. There's another thing that's kind of weird with the way that they actually present, the way Peter Jackson shoots his films, which, it's in every Lord of the Rings film. I don't really notice it in The Hobbit. I don't even think it's in the Hobbit trilogy, but it's in Lord of the Rings. And it was all the way back in, I believe, Fellowship of the Ring, when Lurtz was, kind of all the Uruk-hai are running through the effing forest, and I think Gimli looks to the left. This was in the first film. And I think Lurtz, or one of the Uruk-hai, was like, and he's just, going crazy. And it's really shuddery and blurry. I don't know how to even effing describe it, but it's in all 3 of these films. And it looks really unprofessional. It looks really dumb. I know he was trying to be horror element, or more intense, or more visceral, and it just ends up looking kind of dumb. I'm sorry, but that's it. As far as negatives, that's pretty much all I got. Everything that we got extended was pretty awesome, to say the least. It really did extend that film, not only in its runtime, but in the stuff that was in the film in general, the Paths of the Dead sequence, or even stuff with Boromir, or just, fleshing out more of the Mount Doom stuff with Frodo and Sam, or, what have you. It all is really freaking awesome, and by the time I got to the end, at midnight, it was very, very, an awesome watch for sure. Now, normally I cry at Return of the King every time when Frodo is going to the Undying Lands and he smiles, because it's all, literally, he has suffered literal death and hell, and finally, in the end of it, he's in essentially heaven, paradise, and he just gets to smile and finally be happy for once. I didn't cry this time because my mom was in the room, but normally, I don't cry like a baby, but, I get teary-eyed. I didn't really this time, but that is one of the moments where, I'll admit that, it's good stuff. It is. It makes, it makes the trilogy feel really cool, you know what I mean? Because, yeah, I didn't cry at the MCU. I only teared up a little bit at The Rise of Skywalker, but, you know, like, MCU, I never cried at anything in the MCU. So, for me to cry at Frodo just smiling of all things, pretty freaking cool. But, you know, the emotional punch is really much there, as always. You know, that wasn't an extended scene, but it was a really cool thing to just kind of watch and, you know, notice that, man, the extended versions of all 6 movies are by far the definitive versions to watch these films. I don't know how the fudge I watched them without being in the extended versions. I have no freaking clue. I'm insane because, you know, I got subscribers who, you know, who were like, "Oh, franchise, you gotta watch extended," and I was like, "All right, you know, whatever." And then I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch Return of the King," and this one was like, "Oh my god, man, you're gonna freaking love it. It's epic." And you're right, it was epic for sure. I loved all 6. I do think, honestly, the Hobbit trilogy is better, and I know upon saying that, you're all going to try to stone me or crucify me or whatever. But I do. I truly believe that, you know, not just because they're newer. I just think the Hobbit movies are better made. I love Lord of the Rings 100%. I think Lord of the Rings has better story, probably, you know, better... It's about it. I think the Hobbit trilogy has better effects, obviously. Better acting. And, of course, the writing is essentially the same. I don't think I can't really notice any bad, or, you know, effed up lines in any of the 6 films. Because, you know, they talk different, so, you know, I can't judge that. But I really did enjoy it for sure. And I think, honestly, now that I have seen all 6 extended, it really changed my view on the franchise. It just made me love it even more. You know what I mean? Like, Game of Thrones, right? Game of Thrones wishes Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit were that effing cool. You know what I mean? Like, Game of Thrones is like, we have naked girls, and I'm like, I'm not complaining, but if you have to market your show on sex, probably not that good of a show. Now, I haven't seen it, and I don't want to trigger anyone who loves that show, but it's a bit of a strange thing to just market your show off boobs. Again, I'm not complaining, but at the same time, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit don't need naked women, or for the women, you know, naked men, or whatever, any type of sex thing to be like, oh, what, like The Witcher. It's like, oh my god, there's boobs in The Witcher? I gotta watch that show. It's like, yeah, okay, I like boobs too, but I'm not gonna watch the show because of that. You know what I mean? That's a really weird thing. It's like, why would you put that as your marketing department? That's weird. And again, you know, as a straight dude, I'm not gonna be over here complaining, but The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, they're just good movies. They don't need anything. Yeah, there's intense violence, and I'm honestly shocked all these movies aren't rated R. I think the only one that is rated R is Hobbit 3 extended, but, I mean, they're brutal. You know what I mean? They got a lot of violence, a lot of adult themes, a lot of sad moments, some funny moments, you know, but it's not like the most gory thing in the world, but, you know, there's beheadings and there's some gore in them. But again, you don't need the, you know, stuff that other shows and other franchises like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit are kind of marketing upon it. That's really what I like about this franchise is that, you know what I mean? It doesn't need any of that. It's just a good franchise. It's a good trilogy. Hobbit, it's a good trilogy. Lord of the Rings, you know, I truly believe that. And, you know, again, I have not seen Game of Thrones. I kind of want to. Not because of that, but, I mean, you know, everyone and their grandma was like, it's so good! And back when it was coming out, I wasn't allowed to watch it because I wasn't an adult, and all my friends who were like, you know, effing 6 were watching it. So, and it's just like the Big Bang Theory. I wasn't allowed to watch Big Bang Theory, and then everyone's like, and I was like, I'm over it. Like, whatever. I'm done. I don't care. Same type of thing. Maybe I'll watch Game of Thrones one day. I knew that House of Dragon thingy's coming up, so I don't know. But, I do think, you know, like, I love The Elder Scrolls. I love Elden Ring, Dark Souls, all the From Software stuff, but Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth Man, and The Hobbit, it's just something completely unique and different. You know what I mean? It takes the wizards and dwarves and elves and hobbits and, you know, all these crazy dragons, you know, all the fantasy stuff that you'd be, oh my god, you're a freaking nerd, you know what I mean? But now it's like, wow, this is cool, you know what I mean? And the fact that I got to watch all 6, and yes, they're a lot longer, but like I said, every single one added to that, you know, kind of lore in the story, and it was really, really cool to, you know, experience that for the first time. You know, just seeing the mouth of Sauron, which was in the Lego game, you know, so many things in the Lego game. I was like, wow, that's in the freaking movie. I didn't, you know, but the extended edition, I didn't know that. So, you know, it's just different, even little things like, you know, Gollum just getting a 1 or 2 extra seconds of a scene, or, you know, 1 or 2 dialogue things at the end of a certain scene that I've already seen before, but it's just adding more lines and, you know, world building. It's pretty effing cool, man. So, I know we're getting that Lord of the Rings, the, Rings of Power, which I am looking forward to, but I'm also not looking forward to because I don't have Amazon Prime. I'm going to have to sneak over someone's house to watch it. Also, it's extremely woke, and maybe I'll make a video on it. It is. I know I'm not trying to say I'm the Middle Earth god, but I know a lot about the Middle Earth lore, and this show does not respect any of it. To say this show is going to be canon is just a big middle finger to everyone who enjoys Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. If you actually pay attention to what's in the show, I probably will end up watching it and reviewing it, but I'm not looking forward to it. As of right now, the extended editions of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, as well as the Lego Lord of the Rings and Lego The Hobbit games, are my definitive version of this franchise. If it wasn't going to be so woke and they were just adding things to add it and all that, it'd be a different story, but it looks interesting, but it also doesn't. So that's my stance on the show. Maybe I'll watch it, maybe I won't. Who knows? I'm a little bit indifferent. But again, man, Return of the King Extended was awesome. So these movies are so effing long. You're getting into it, and you're like, wow, whoa, whoa, and then the screen goes black, and you're like, oh shit, the DVD broke, and then it goes, disc 2. I'm like, oh, I got to put in the second disc. Oh, I got it. Okay. The movie's that long. You have to have 2 discs. And I'm not complaining. It's just kind of funny because it's like 9 o'clock, 10 at night. And my mom's like, hey, is this movie almost done? I'm like, no, I have another 2-hour disc, so it's kind of funny. Again, they're long movies, but they're extremely fun, and I'm very glad I was able to watch them. So sorry again, this took so long. But again, all the scenes, of course, were added, were awesome. Again, 1 or 2 ADR moments that were a bit wonky. I forgot to mention there's a bit where Saruman kind of like shoots like fire out of his staff before Legolas Grima, freaking knifes him, which was an extended scene. It looks really bad. I don't know if the effects run out. I don't know. But that effect looked really wonky. And then there's that weird, like, blurriness and all that. So I'm going to give the Lord of the Rings Return of the King Extended Edition an A. I would give it an A-, but the movie really does make the entire franchise worth revisiting again. And it really, I'll never not love Middle-earth, but watching, like an hour more just really, added more depth and lore to the canon and to the franchise. So tell me in the comments down below what your favorite of the 6 is. Again, mine would go probably Hobbit 2, 3, 1, and then like Lord of the Rings 2, 3, 2, 1. I don't know. I love them all. I love all 6. It's hard to decide, but anyway, sorry this took so long. Again, hope you guys enjoyed the Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor gameplay. If you want me to cover more Lord of the Rings topics, make sure to leave a comment in this video's comment section. I'll look into it. Maybe make a video. Maybe shout you out. Again, man, these 6 movies are freaking awesome, and hopefully, Rings of Power will be good. But as of right now, these 6 films and the Lego games are pretty good enough. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.